Hello, welcome to A Legacy of Love Ministry. How are you guys doing today on this Sunday evening? I pray that you all got out and got you some word from somewhere, because let me tell you something. If you hadn't, you need to look it up on TV and or the internet and just find you some word to hear. The world is so uncertain today that we need to hear a word from God. And so I want to first say that I do not own the copyrights to the music that you hear playing in the background. And secondly, I would like to say that all three of my books are still available for ordering. I believe some of you have been making some orders for the books, and I thank you for being that support. It's a great help to me when you support me. It's just a blessing, and it's a blessing to me. And I pray that the books and the journal is a blessing to you. So the first one is God's Love for the Grieving Widow. Is a 31-day prayer journal that I wrote that is letting us know as widows how important we are to God and how He holds us in a special place. He has a special place in His heart for us as widows. And again, it's called God's Love for the Grieving Widow. Also, I have a YouTube page, God's Love for the Grieving Widow. And it's not just for widows, but the journal is for widows only. But the YouTube page is for everybody that would like to join and come on to hear. Basically, what I say on this line is what I put on the other line as well, the YouTube page. So please go like and share. You may know someone that the information will be good for. And so share the information. Again, subscribe, like, and share. And also, even on this page, like, subscribe, and share. Share the information with someone else. If you have all of your things in place and intact, hey, go ahead and share with someone else, okay? My second book is There is Beauty in My Brokenness. This is a story of me and my late husband, our beginning until death did us part. It's the story of what he went through before he left this side of earth. And so it's a beautiful read. It's our love story. It's our until death did us part story. And so, again, there is beauty in my brokenness. And, that really hit me when I said that. Sometime I come on here, well, every Sunday when I come on, I talk about my books, right? And so, when I said that, repeated that again and said, there is beauty in my brokenness, sometimes it takes a little time to find that beautiness in that brokenness, especially when you're constantly feeling broken, right? And so we can put on a facade that life is great and life is good, but it's difficult when you lose your spouse. But, God, I trust Him that I am going to see that beautiness in my brokenness. And so, that hit me in a different way today. But the third book is No One Plans to Fail, but Many Fail to Plan, Divine Direction and Connection. And this one right here is my heart as well, because it is talking about what I've just went through, going through probate, going through, having to face the judge, several times, like at least 7 times, because we did not have our trust done. And so we had just recently purchased our home and my name was not on the home. And so I had to go through probate. And as I was talking about that, some if you look at some of my older videos, you'll hear me saying kind of some of the things that I went through. And you'll hear me saying that people was asking me, like, you guys was married, how come you had to go through that? And so what we don't know is that there are 9 community property states, which means that everything is 50-50, or if you have multiple people on your deed, then it splits down like that. But in California, you can go through probate for your loved ones, things, or say for instance a house. I'll use myself. And without my name being on the house, I had to face probate. And so each time that I come on here expressing myself and educating you guys on the importance of getting your affairs in order and in place, it's because we have a lot of times assumptions that things will automatically go to that one spouse or the other spouse, depending on which one is lost first, right? Which one passes first. And so it's just so important that you look into getting getting things done and in place. I was thinking about we wouldn't have qualified for the home had I had my name added to the house. Okay, so that's why my name wasn't originally on the house. But for whatever reason, we do things differently and separate. All of our homes have different situations, and so you want to protect yourself that in the event that one of you will pass away, and it's inevitable that that's going to happen, that you have your affairs in order and in place, so that your loved one won't only have to deal with the grief and the hurt that they're dealing with you, but that it will make it a little easier, that they don't have to continue to keep being faced with things that they didn't know about, that you guys did not take the time to discuss or, put together a trust or something like that. And so I was thinking about, I had just heard this lady speaking, and she was kind of saying how, she had her dad had a trust, and with her dad having the trust, when he passed away unexpectedly, then she didn't know what to do. So she kind of was trying to go to the bank, and she was the successor. And so she was trying to go to the bank, and she didn't even know, what to say. So they're like, okay, you need to bring us the password. You need to bring us the death certificate. And so it brings me back to, I still have to have that meeting with my children to let them know exactly what will take place if I was to pass away, that they will know exactly what to do. And so as she was talking about that, she was saying that there was some things that she did not know what to do or how to do it, but it was simple things. It's things that seem simple to us, but it's really not simple. And it was as simple as they asked her, hey, what was your dad's password, right? And so she's like, I don't know, so then they say, well, okay, well, what's your first pet, or where did you live at, where did he live at? And so they're going to ask questions like that. And so you need to let your loved ones know, hey, What are the password to things that are important like that? What are the instructions to things that are important like that? Because just because you have it does not mean that you don't need to have the conversation with your loved ones to let them know in the event that you were pass away unexpectedly or expectingly what to do. What are your next steps to take care of that? And so then she mentioned, of course, if you have face recognition, or if you have the your thumbprint or your fingerprint that opens up your phone, or that opens up, different things like that, then how are you going to do that if that person is no longer here? So if they're sending the code to that email address, how are you going to access that email address if you don't know it? That code, that's actually what happened to me. So even with our alarm system, our televisions, so many different things that my husband had the code to, that password to, that I didn't know, and they kept sending the code to his phone or to his email address. So that you see how important it is to have those things, so that that loved one won't feel like, okay, well, I know mom had everything together for me. I know dad had everything together for me. Or you may feel like, I know my spouse had everything together for me. Everything is in place. And then if they were to pass away, is everything in place? Do you know where it is? Do you know where the important paperwork is? So talk to your person that you're going to have as your administrator, because it's not just well enough to have it and not have explained to them. Again, I'll say this because I know my kids do tend to watch my videos every now and again, that I still need to talk to them to tell them what to do. I've gotten things in place, but there's still some things that I need to tune up as well, and then have that hard conversation with them to let them know, hey, this is what will happen if something was to happen to me. This is the lawyer you're going to call. This is the person that you're going to get in contact with. The bank should have copies of your, if you don't have them down as your PODs. And the PODs are your paid upon death beneficiaries. And so you want to make sure that you go back and check that. Check to make sure that you have beneficiaries on all accounts that are financial accounts. We've had our bank accounts for many years, and so sometimes we just have the assumption that there is a beneficiary on there. You may be a divorcee. You need to make sure that divorce spouse is no longer on your DD 214. You need to make sure that spouse, and even if they have passed away already, you need to remove the spouse from the things that you have them on, even if they've passed away already, or if you have experienced a divorce. And so you want to make sure that you cover yourself, because you could be remarried and thinking that spouse will automatically get the money, and what'll happen is that ex-spouse will actually be the one. So what happens is the beneficiary trumps the trust. It trumps everything. So you want to make sure that who you have for your beneficiaries that's who you want your finances to go to, okay? And so sometimes people will think, oh, you know what, I did this, I did that, but you didn't change it. You didn't make the changes. And what happens is when you've already lost someone such as myself, then what happens if you leave them on information, then your loved ones that will be taking over your business will have to go running around getting death certificates for everybody. I have a good friend that had her husband passed away, and they had one account. Now, I've heard this several times, you guys. This is quite common, that the spouses had one account that you didn't know about. And it's not, I mean, it's very common that I've talked to dozens of widows. And so it is very common that you all have bank accounts or money or funds that are somewhere else that your spouse didn't know about, and that you found out about it later, right? And so, such as myself. And I don't think it was anything that my husband was trying to hide from me. He just had stuff, and we just didn't simply talk about it. And so, with my girlfriend, he had a separate account, and he had just, and he had his mom on that account. And so, you know, sometimes some of you have been in relationships for years. You may have been in a relationship 10, 20 years before you decided to get married, right? And so you get married, and so because you've been together so long, you don't think sometime to go back and change some things. And so you may still have a parent that is the beneficiary, right? So when my husband passed away, my mom was a part of the beneficiary. And so now that our children are adults, now my children are the beneficiary. And so you just have to go back and change that, because guess what? If like my dad has passed away already. And so just think, if I had my dad as the beneficiary and I left here, and I still never changed that, because we don't think that we need to go back and change that, right? I'm bringing it to your attention now so that you'll know, hey, you know what, I did have, maybe someone that is deceased now as the beneficiary. So you want to make sure that you go back and take those people that are deceased off of all important things, bank accounts, your DD 214. You want to make sure that you take them off, because otherwise, when you pass away and you still have those people on there, then they're going to go ahead and be running around trying to get death certificates. So my good friend, as I was telling you about the story, her husband had this account. He had some nice money in this account, right? Because I think it was just something like a lawsuit. My phone is going to go off, you guys. I don't know why people call me at this time and they know that I'm on my live, but it's going to go off and I'll come back on. But because it's going to knock me off. And so with her, what ended up happening is, hold on, you guys. So what ended up happening with the bank said, okay, well, you have to go ahead and do that, get your husband's mother's death certificate, right? And so what happened with that is, it happened to be where her and her in-laws, her sister-in-laws, are very close. And so her sister-in-law gave her a copy of the mother's death certificate, and that's how she was able to go to the bank. Had her sister-in-law been shady and said, I'm not going to give you a copy of my mother's death certificate, the sister-in-law could have stepped in and taken the death certificate and got the money. And like I said, it was a significant amount of money. So you see how you can, just something that little seems like that little to you happened where, because you didn't remove a person, you need to remove them from the house. Remove them from all of those things, because guess what? If you find yourself in a probate, then all of that debt, all of the things that happened with that person can come back on you. And then it's just going to take more money out of the pocket, out of you guys' inheritance that was meant to be left for you. So you want to make sure that you remove them. I understand and I get it as a widow, as a person that have lost my husband. I was tending to want to hold on to stuff. I wanted to hold on to that bank account with his name on it. And it was just something that felt like that I could just hold on to. But I remember one Wednesday night, my bishop was teaching, and he was saying that a lot of times when things are not God all the time, when it looks like it should be a certain kind of way. And that gave me the freedom to say, Crystal, it's okay. Go ahead, let that bank account go. I mean, I was hurt. I mean, I had so much. I was so attached to that particular bank account. You know, we had got our home with that account. I had been using that account for, at least 10, 15, 20 years. And so I just felt attached to that bank account because, you have your stuff in good standing. You want to hold on to your stuff, right? And because it had his name on it. But what I had to realize is this, that his medical bills was $100,000. That he had that helicopter bill that was $70,000, and that this house was in his name and his name only. And at the end of the day, they could have came after me to get those things because we didn't have our trust in place. And so even with the home not being in my name, and I'm so thankful to God that it happened the way it did, because it's still being a little COVID and things were still happening at the time when I was going to court, that I was able to become the successor of interest, which means that they had allowed me to add my name to the house, because guess what? You normally have to qualify. I've been a stay-at-home mom, although I've been an entrepreneur the whole marriage. I've been a stay-at-home mom. So I have been thinking the last couple of days, you know what? It is something else to go from being a kept woman to survival mode, to having to figure it out on your own. And so when I thought about that, I was like, that is something. And I just want to, let you guys know how to not take that for granted, because I can see and I understand why we do and how we can. But I'm just telling you, don't take that for granted, that you have that person that you guys work together, that you guys have that unity together to make it work, to keep a roof over your head, to keep food in your house, to provide for your family. I think about so often of how much of a provider the men in my life were, how they really provided with excellence of taking care of me, my mom, my sister-in-law. They just showed you what an example of taking care of a family is. And so I salute them today. I'm thankful and grateful to God for blessing me with such great men in my life. And even, with my loved ones, I'm just so grateful today. And so I will go back to, thinking about how they allowed me to become the successor. And at the same time it was still COVID, like I said. And really, you would have had to qualify to become the successor. And so as the young lady was helping me become the successor, I also was not, I wasn't afraid of the judge for some reason. but I was afraid of the bank. And so the reason why I was afraid of the bank is because we had just purchased our home, and that if you don't put 20% down, then you have that PMI, right? Which is an insurance that covers the bank. It doesn't cover you, it covers the bank. And even your insurance that you have, it covers the bank. That when the mortgage company make you get that insurance, it still covers the bank. And so what happened is that they could have pulled the loan from me. So that's why I was so afraid. So you want to make sure that you're looking to get in some mortgage protection, because guess what? If you become incapacitated, if you become, disabled, if you cannot pay your mortgage, and the banks, they don't care. They just want their money, right? And so you want to protect yourself just like the banks protect themselves. And so they have a right to say, you know what? We did not do this loan with you. Hey, we want our money. So they have the right to be able to sell if you cannot produce the money to pay for your home. And so I know that some of us, especially me, I have such a heart and compassion for people that when I think things are unfair, I really struggle with it. I struggle with the cares and the things of the world today, to the point to where it makes me kind of fall back into the grief that I've been trying to come out of. And so when I see people being done and treated wrong, it really bothers me. And so that's why I come on each Sunday to share my story, to share my testimony, to educate and to inform you guys the importance of getting your affairs together and in place, because I know that someday someone that is on here listening is going to experience loss. And so I just want to make it a little easier for you to have these things in place, because we tend to just assume and think that things should go the way we think they should go. Some people are kind of stubborn, some people are set in their own ways. At the same time, you know, we have to follow the law like we do with everything else, our insurance, our car insurance, we follow the rules to a certain extent. So let's make this a rule that we won't leave our loved ones and with a lot of debt and grief. At the same time, this can be most definitely avoided. And so, as I was listening to the young lady I was telling you about earlier, I said, yeah, that's me. And so she was talking about her dad, but I was thinking, yep, I had no password. I couldn't get in there. So she was suggesting that you have an account that is for the trust, and for the an account like an email address that has all this information in there that's separate. Listen, you guys, you need to make it separate. Do not have your household bills and your house note and things like that coming out of that account or that email address, because if your loved one doesn't know your email address code, everything is going to be just locked in and you can't do anything. Again, for those of you that have taken up and know what to do and have your trust already, go back and check and make sure that your trust is funded correctly. And funded is a word that they use. It's a legal word, and it means that everything that you have that is finances, you actually gonna put it inside the trust. Everything you want safe, you're gonna put it inside that safe, which is the trust. And so you're gonna make sure that you get it recorded. You're going to make sure that have everything is signed. Look over it again and again. A lot of times the lawyers even have to go over things over again and again. Make sure that it is your legal name. Because what happened is you cannot put nicknames or different things like that. They're not going to honor it. And so you want to make sure that you have whoever you're leaving your properties to, that everything is spelled correctly on the trust. Okay, and so you want to make sure that you get the deed if you're doing it yourself, or even if you have your lawyer. Sometimes lawyers are not completely truthful to you. They'll tell you all you need is a will, and you're in a community property state. So all 50 states have to go through probate, period. And so what happens is you given this will, you have to take it so that the judge can read out your wishes. In the meantime, the judge is not going to allow you to come because you have a will to come for free. Just because you have a will, can't go up in there and say, Judge, I got this. No, you're going to have to start paying money. And what happens is you end up opening your whole life to the public. There are people that are professionals that look every day to find out if there's anybody in probate. So say, for instance, my kids, while I was going through the probate system, I kind of did some things differently. God did navigate it different for me, but my kids are going through that. And say one of my children was going through a divorce or something, or my kids had debt. Well, if they were going to be receiving an inheritance, if they would have been receiving finances or money, then that entity, that person that they owe money to, could have went after the probate that they received, which would be a portion of their inheritance. So that's why it's so important that you cover yourself, cover your children, because we never know, right? We never know when the vicissitudes of life happen to us. We just never know. Hey, divorce happens, separations happen, things happen. And so you want to make sure that you cover yourself. You want to make sure that if you have a trust and you have not changed your deed into the name of the trust, then you have an incomplete trust. You have to make sure that everything is transferred over into the trust, even your home. Make sure that you have beneficiaries. You can go to the DMV and put beneficiaries on your cars. I know some people that have some very, very nice cars. If there's only one spouse name on that car and there's an issue down the line, you want to make sure that you have that person as your beneficiary down so that they won't be able to possibly take it back. What happens is there's a lot of fine writing in the contracts that we get from the car lot that we never really pay attention to, just as I did when we were purchasing this house, and was not explained to me that I was actually signing my rights away to the house versus I'm thinking I am adding my name somewhere, and found out later that I signed my rights away to this house. I would have never did that had I known that's what I was signing. And so when we sign things, contracts and different things like that, it's so overwhelming, and they're kind of giving it at you, and they tell you we're going to give you a copy later, but at the time we have already signed, right? And so we can't go back saying, well, I signed it, but I didn't know what I was signing. kind of like, like I said, like I did. So you want to make sure that, get your beneficiaries for your card as well, especially if both of your names are not on your card. Okay, that is something that you can look into. Sometimes I didn't even know that you can have a beneficiary on the card. Who would have thought? We don't think about this stuff, right? And so we happened to had one car when my husband passed away because he was a truck driver, and so um, we had one car at that time, and thank God because he did want to get a truck or a car or something. I probably would have just had to turn it back in. Um, and so I think that is it. Get a composition book or something like that and write down your passwords, all passwords to all digital accounts. I mean, it's not like you keep secrets, right? But we do. And I'll say this just from out of, I won't say it statistically, but just from out of the widows that I have met, and I've met dozens of them, I can say that they all found out something that they didn't know. And widowers as well, that they did not know about the spouse. It may have been an account they didn't know about. It may have been bills that they thought were being paid that were not being paid. And so sometimes it just happens. What can you say? So, but at least if you take the time to write down bank accounts and instructions and things, even if you have money in the house, man, I don't know. You know, my husband had um, other insurance policies that he never discussed it with me. And he had, me as the beneficiary on there, but he never discussed it with me. So there were some that I was able to get because they called me. Because if you have things and you're not discussing and taking the time to tell your spouse about it, how would they know? You have to have every good intention that this is for this person. But I found another one later that was too late. And I know it was his good intentions to have this for me because he's the one that, you know, got those different insurance policies. And so it was too late. That insurance policy had passed. It had lapsed. And so even with the ones that I got when the people called me, we didn't talk about it. We didn't discuss it. And so many different things that he had, because we did not have the conversations, I lost insurance. And so take the time to at least write it down somewhere. My brother had a significant amount of money in the house that he never told nobody about. That at least tell one person something or write some instructions down, because he had planted that in his couch. And had not my sister-in-law moved some things, she wouldn't have found it. And I'm not talking about 15 cents. I'm talking about a significant amount of money. And so have the conversations or write some instructions down where your loved one will be able to get to it, say in the event that you were to pass away and you never said nothing to them. Even those accounts, I'm bringing it back to your attention now that go back and check those accounts that you had. Go back and check your 401k to make sure that your beneficiaries are current. Again, the beneficiaries trump everything else that you have. So you can have your trust and everything, but if you have someone else down as a beneficiary, that is who will be receiving the money. Okay. And so that will be who I talk to multiple people. You guys that know me know that I talk to people all the time. And I'm just listening to them saying, I want this to go to my niece, and I want this to go to my nephew, and I want my old Corvette to go to, my oldest son. And so I started asking them, hey, is this just your wishes, or do you have this on paper legally? Because if it's not in black and white, it did not exist. And so that's why it's important that you get these things down in black and white. Spouses, ladies, gentlemen, have the hard conversation with your loved ones so that this thing won't be hard, because you will remember this day. You will remember me coming before you to tell you this. So don't let it fall on deaf ears. If you've started the process of getting your trust done, pick it up again and start working on it again. I know what it's like. There's several things that I will just put down because it's too frustrating for me, but I will pick it back up and start over again. And so pick it up, start over it again. Don't think that I'm not talking to you, because I am. And go ahead and look into getting your power of attorney. You can do that yourself. Don't wait until someone is incapacitated and you're running around trying to get it and they're not releasing information to you because you don't have it. So don't just, if you once you get it, just put it in a safe place. Let the people know who are your power of attorney, and then you don't have to worry about it. You can just feel good about yourself that you got it done and you got it taken care of. For those of you that have own property, it's essential that you go ahead and get you a revocable living trust, especially if you live in California. Okay. And so, one other thing I wanted to say to you guys is that if you've had a loved one that has passed away recently or even some time ago, and they may have told you at the bank that you could not retrieve their finances, there is a form that you can go and get. It's an affidavit of collection of personal property. I don't know if you guys can see this, but this is what it looks like. And you can actually, if you're the spouse or even if it's a parent that may have passed away and the bank has told you you have to go through probate, this is a form that you can actually fill out and you can actually get your loved ones, finances that are in the bank in case they did not have a beneficiary on those accounts. Even investment accounts, if your loved one did not have beneficiary on the investment accounts, For the state of California, it was $166,250. I believe it has went up now to 188,000. And so you can do this, fill out this form, a small estate affidavit, and you're able to get your loved ones finances, because a lot of times the bank will not tell you this. The investment accounts will not tell you this. You have to know about this yourself, okay? So if you have any questions, leave me some comments and some questions so that I can come back next time and answer them for you guys. So yesterday, I'm shifting now. Yesterday, I went to Erica and Lauren Campbell's wedding anniversary. It was their 25th wedding anniversary, and I did their anniversary cake for them on yesterday. And boy, did I have a good time. I am very, 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 very tired, but it was such a joy to see them loving on one another, to see their family members encouraging them, and them explaining that, sometimes we're in storms, but they have weathered some of the storms that they have found themselves in. But as I sat there looking at her and looking at him, and them giving each other their what do you call it? You say words to one another about how you feel and everything. And I just thought about it, just brought me back. All weddings and receptions remind me of when I got married. And so it just brought back so many great memories for me. Um, and I just thought about even my wedding day being the funnest day in my whole entire life. And so it was just a joy to see them loving on one another, and to see, them making it to that 25 years, especially with the industry that they're in. And it was just such a blessing. And I just reflected and thought about my husband, and I thank God for the 34 years that we had together. And the ups, the downs, and anyone that is married will tell you, you will have those ups and downs. You will have those disappointment moments. You will have those moments where you have to fight through this thing, and you don't want it to take you down. But I um, I encourage you all on today to say, love on your loved ones. Treat them like this might be your last time with them, and just love on them. Just love on them. And because I can tell you that I know without a shadow of a doubt that my husband know I loved him unconditionally. And so with that being said, I'm just thankful and grateful. I miss him dearly. It has been a struggle, and I'm not ashamed to say it. It has been a struggle for me, but God has placed people in my life that has truly blessed me, and hey, it's nothing that I can do about it, right? So continue to keep me lifted up in prayer as I keep you all lifted up in prayer as well. So I will, hey, cousin wife. Thank you for the hearts and the stars. I love you so, 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 so much. And so thank you for the share. And for those of you that may be coming on later, please like and share. And remember, I said that if those of you may be coming on that have already lost your spouses, find out how to remove them from things, because it becomes difficult. And if your children find themselves in probate, it's going to be more difficult for them to, go through that process. Okay. So look into getting mortgage protection that will cover you from if you were to lose your spouse. It will help you with the mortgage. It will pay off your mortgage. If you were to become incapacitated, then they'll pay a portion of your house, or possibly depending on the type of insurance you get. It's worth it, you guys. It is really worth it. I never thought in 100 years that I would lose my husband at 54 years of age. And so, sometimes we could say we're too young, we ain't going nowhere, we're gonna be here forever. And the thing is, we just don't know, right? And so it's important that we also look into getting some life insurance or prepaying. If you cannot qualify for life insurance, then prepay for your services. And it's much cheaper. You're in a better frame of mind. So I've talked to some people and they have gotten their prepaid service done, and it helps. It helps so much because you're not in your right mind, you guys. Y'all know it. If anybody has had to bury anybody, you're not in your right mind, right? Well, laid them to rest, I'll say. All righty. So I will see you guys next time. I'll see you guys next Sunday. Um, Next weekend is my mom's 90th birthday celebration. She will be in town this week, and I'm so thankful and grateful and truly blessed for my mom to still be here with us. So I will see you guys next week if the Lord says the same. Bye bye.